Namaste. I'm Ezechi Ade. This is the Golden Circle Movement channel. Today, we're discussing some of my past, how I became Ezechi Ade. In continuing the discussion, last we talked about an encounter that I had in New York that was resolved in Los Angeles. So then, while I'm in Los Angeles, I have discovered, let's say, a new way of looking at things. You know, it's true I had been a scientist throughout my high school and college years, and it is also true that I embraced my spirituality when I opposed the demonic force. It's also true that my understanding of cause and effect was, completely changed when I saw what I saw in the egg. So, along with that understanding came my understanding, or my introduction to Jo-Ray. So, in order to explain that, it's best to start from the beginning. So, in Los Angeles, I was looking for something to lift me up, to raise my understanding, my vibration. I didn't know really about vibrations, but I did know that I wanted to be more than what I was at that time. So I went through, I believe this magazine was called The Whole Person. The Whole Person is like a new age magazine with, different crystal channel, energy channel people, theosophy, different religious organizations, different types of holistic food organizations. They all advertise, and there's articles in The Whole Person. For those who are not familiar with that magazine, if it's even still in print. So in the magazine, I saw a word, Jo-Ray, Johorei, and I was intrigued. A person was sitting in front of another person with their hand upraised, and energy seemed to be traveling to the person who was receiving it. I didn't know for what reason or anything about it. I didn't know anything about energy work or light workers or indigos, crystal children. I didn't know anything. So I called them up and I asked them, what is this Johorei? And the gentleman said it's Jo-Ray. And what it means is purifying light. And I went in and I experienced Jo-Ray. I was relatively convinced. I knew that something happened in my initial experience. So this is definitely something that I want to, it was something that I wanted to pursue and look into. And so I decided to, I would use my energy, use this light that I discovered to help others. So I participated in Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels, of course, is a program that feeds the elderly who can't get out. They're homebound pretty much, and they need food. They need lunch, dinner, and what have you. So St. Vincent's in Los Angeles, they have a program called Meals on Wheels, and they have dozens of vans and lots of food, and they take it in these nice hot thermal trays, and I would have a tray or two, and I would go up into the buildings and distribute the food, give it to the elderly, and I would start out my day by giving Jorei to all of the food, all of the food. Now, as a new practitioner, we have been taught to, how would you say? I would say respect and consider Meishu Sama. Meishu Sama is the founder of Jorei. And Meishu Sama is like, in his lifetime, he was the spiritual leader. Now you would consider him maybe an ascended master. And so it is through his connection with higher energies that a Jorei practitioner receives the light by wearing an amulet called a focal point. And this focal point, it refocuses, it focuses the light that's all around us, and it allows you to use the chakras of the hands or even your third eye to transmit it to another individual or to a situation or however you may use it. But the thing here is that we always consider Meishu Sama in considering what we're going to do as far as our efforts and whatever it is, we try to get Meishu Sama to back us up, to help us with our troubles. If we're like Christians call on Jesus, Jorei practitioners call on Meishu Sama. Now, I didn't know anything about Meishu Sama. I read some books about him, and he was a businessman who became a practitioner in the light, and he figured out how to transfer or some of his abilities to his followers by writing a character for light and allowing them to wear this around their neck. This gave them the ability, a person with very little spiritual knowledge or even inclination, it could give that person the ability to channel light to another person. So I'm standing there after giving out the food and waiting for the elevator, and I close my eyes just for a moment, just to reflect and plan my next move. And in my mind's eye, Meishu Sama steps forward out of the darkness. And when he steps forward, he has his hands inside his kimono. So his hands are not present, not visible. But he is looking at me, and he doesn't say any words, but these images start springing into my mind. I see images of things I actually can't remember. I just have a feeling of what it was that he was telling me, and that he would be watching me and watching over me, watching out for me. So in closing, he took two fingers, he reached forward and touched my focal point, through my clothing. When he did so, bing, the bell for the elevator rang, and my elevator was here, and I opened my eyes and it was over. I didn't really think much about it, but I came to understand when I explained what happened to some of the ministers that this was a very powerful message to be visited by Meishu Sama from the spiritual realm. Is maybe, some might consider that profound, maybe even life-changing. I don't know myself. I do know that in my times of greatest suffering, need, whatever, when I've called on Meishu Sama, I have been answered. And I really can't deny that the power of Joe, it doesn't lie with Meishu Sama. It does lie with the being, the entity, the center of the universe, however you want to consider God or whatever that force may be called. But through that connection to that higher power, I have been able to do some very amazing things with this light. So, my question to you is, have you ever had a visitation, some type of spiritual or physical, or maybe a dream, or some type of visitation that was deeply profound to you and made you reconsider things that you thought that you knew, and now you have to look at things differently? If so, or if you just have questions about those things, please leave a comment below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be made aware when the next video is uploaded. Also, make sure you like this video. Share the video with your friends and those who you feel are potential light workers or just seekers of knowledge, you know? So, any case, I appreciate your participation in this Divine Light program. Thank you for helping to create paradise on earth. I'm Ezechi Ade. Thank you. Namaste.